Hey team, it's the peak of summer and the property's looking good, so thought we'd go for a bit of a hot lap. We see we've got a heap of flowers in bloom, the roses, always looking good. Love it, love it, they just keep going. We've got this beauty, absolutely fine addition from a local craftsman, John O'Gardine. It's a brazier, obviously it's a horse, and so it will be a burning horse. One of multiple we hope to have down on the site come mid-February, but this thing is all made out of old farm scraps, some header blades, some discs. It's just the absolute work of art. So here's the front section Polyculture paddock strip, and as you can see it's absolutely lush. This one was mixed with the luxuriant leaves and some of the roots in, and we can just see we've just been coming down like nearly every night, and it takes about 1 minute to whip out here and just grab some mizunas. Like it's just pretty awesome in here. And then, you know, corianders, there's a bunch of herbs coming up as well. So this is in full growth right now for harvesting salads, and it's just going to keep giving. That's what we're doing it for, and pretty stoked of how it's at right now. So into the go-kart track, and you know, we've got our potatoes, and this is year 3. So we planted these, literally once again by just putting the potato on the grass and covering it with straw. 3 seasons later, each spring we've just been covering in more straw, and it just keeps on giving us potatoes. So yeah, good stuff, Ruth Stout, than the no-work gardening. Another one that's been cranking in here is these Jerusalem artichokes. We've been just spreading them everywhere because they grow so easily and just keep coming. So this is the first season we literally just transplanted these in here in winter, and like these things are as big as me. It's pretty awesome. And I was reading something about Jerusalem artichokes and their capacity for creating energy, and so it was something like half an acre of Jerusalem artichokes planted out would be enough biofuel to like fuel this farm. As with some like napkin calculations, but I'm going to keep on putting these around the place because it's like, you know, resilience food, because we know it's going to keep going. So good stuff, Jerusalem artichokes. Yeah, so all through this zone, anywhere that like this dock, it's about to go to seed. So that's about when I decide to intervene. Mostly with the weeds, I just let them go, but something that's like really invasive, I do want to deck that. And all I'm really doing is chopping and dropping. So that's no longer going to set seed anywhere, but what it has done is pulled a bunch of nutrients up and set them on the ground. And one plant that we've planted specifically to do that is this comfrey, and it's growing everywhere. We got it all from Dan and Josie, one singular comfrey plant, and now it's all around the property because it's just so easy to chop a piece of root and put it in the ground. And what comfrey does is mines phosphorus in places that other plants aren't able to access it. It goes deeper down, and it's able to form relationships with the soil microbes that allow it to bring that phosphorus up, and then it will, once again, I'll go through and just sort of rake it up, and then I can just place it around this tree. That's going to compose down. Worms will come up, eat it, put it back in, and then all of a sudden this tree's got access to that phosphorus that it might not have been able to otherwise. So growing these plants specifically for this chop and drop method, and obviously the bees are loving it as well. And then yeah, also just treating our weeds in the same way. The dock does a much similar job to this comfrey that we've done intentionally, so that's a big way of how we're building the soils around this garden. Yeah, so we've been building stuff up, it's all going to flower. I've got so much to say that I just don't know where to begin, so I think we'll just let the plants do the talking. this year is coming alive. It's really doing it. We sowed this about 6 weeks ago, and we can already see right here the peas, which is a new addition we haven't done in previous years. Pretty excited for that because some of the peas in my garden are just getting nailed by the chickens. Beans as always, and yeah, we've got the brassicas which will form the base of it. Ricorn's coming up, kale in here as well, and then yeah, we've got the sunflowers, phacelia. So hopefully by the time we have Burning Horse and Future Fenway Summit, this whole place is going to be like yellow and purple and just like lush and alive. So people will be rolling in through the corner down the lane and they'll be seeing this beautiful example of regenerative agriculture. That's the hope at least, and so far we're off to a pretty good start. Here we are at the Burning Horse grounds. So we've had a couple of working bees. You can see we've sort of been clearing out the willows once again. Just got to move those around and just starting to get things a bit spruced up. We'll get the ewes in here over the summer break, so they'll deck this down, and then we'll start mowing it and keep things tidier and tidier. I'll just show the structure that we've sort of built. Fortunately, Tun is a master resource collector and a geodome enthusiast. So if we step on inside, this thing was made with $50 worth of alkathene pipe that was sold on Marketplace, and yeah, just cut into pieces. There's 2 different lengths, and it was really just following a model that was found on the Google. So yeah, the bolts as well, second hand and free, with some wooden washers. So the whole thing was really made for about $50 and some time, and then the cover was purchased and added on. So it's a really cool just area to be in, and we can see here we've just got a kitchen set up, and so when people start rolling in here through summer and just like leading up to the event, we've got this space which is like out of the elements a little bit, which is still open for the air and breeze to blow through, and also just somewhere that's clean and tidy to prepare and share meals together. Another build orchestrated by the wonderful Tone is these couple of pizza ovens. And yeah, I went to this eBands conference a couple of months ago, and I just got so inspired by how we can build with natural materials. I'd gone there sort of with a lithos hat, just trying to network and see who's operating in this scene in New Zealand, and how that might help with our project of wanting to 3D print structures out of earth materials. And then yeah, came away with some amazing contacts, as well as just a heap of inspiration and plans of how we want to use earth building practices on the property. So this was just a little trial run, and it's been cooked out, so it's just a mini pizza oven. We decided to go a bit bigger for one that was more functional, and yeah, it's just a early practice on how we can build with the earth. Our first working bee of the season, we really focused on this zone, which is going to be a walkthrough between the campsite and the festival grounds, with the live stage just there, and then it will also flow into the vendor alleyway. And then we also just want to use these willows all the way from this stage to the DJ stage around the corner as like a willow sort of walkway nature trail. So yeah, the plan is to cut this fence and roll it up for a couple of segments. So from the campground here, everyone will be out with their tents and and they'll just be able to flow on and carry on through. And all the way along, we'll be attaching pieces of artwork and routering it out, and that's the fun part. So yeah, the Willow Art Trail has begun. we are on the roadside, and this is one of the places where we sowed Polyculture paddock. When we're reflecting on like how is this growing methodology, like where could it be applied, then like roadsides, which are otherwise just sort of growing grass and letting that die and desiccate, right, if we could just do this one pass, then that would be a really good place for it to go. So we mixed up all three of the blends. There's a whole bunch of like beneficial insect blends that will come and hopefully flower, and there's also some edible species, some coriander here and the leafy greens. So if someone wants to just like pull their car over and have a harvest, then they can definitely do so as well. It's just a trial, probably didn't quite give it the sprout it needed, the grass is coming back, but yeah, it's cool. It's a good way to just use space that's otherwise not used. But really what we're doing to stop here is to look at our young grass. Yeah, so last time we were in here we were doing the soil testing with Regan from Soil Matters, all in preparation for our winter crops. Fast forward a year, and this is being grazed out through winter, and we've re-sown it in permanent pasture. So 3 years ago our permanent pasture looked much different to this. It was ryegrass and white clover. We still have plenty of those things. The clover is absolutely booming, and the grass is quite even throughout the paddock. But what you can also see is even is these phacelias and the radish and these turnips, and it's just like the diversity is really what we're trying to do, because each of these things, like sometimes I come here and it is just humming with insects, and so it's giving those a feed source, and then it's also just a different feed source for the soil microbiota, and hopefully diversifying and making things alive and jiggly down there. So this is just absolutely lush. It's about ready to be grazed, so some lambs are probably going to get in here over the holiday break, and if I was a lamb I'd be pretty rapt coming into this place. So here we are, lost. No, we're in the Polyculture paddock, and we're in the original one that was sown again 3 years ago, and I've sort of just like left it be and seeing what would keep happening. And so this one here was the rampant root zone. So everything we've got growing around here, this is actually a parsnip, believe it, and some of them are taller than me. So a 2 meter tall parsnip, that's pretty wild. And like this guy here is a carrot, so that's all going to seed. And we can go in here, and if you actually look, these parsnip seeds are one that's pretty easy to harvest, so we're probably going to do that, just come through and really just hand harvest, and that'd probably give us enough for like hectares and hectares of parsnips, should we need it sometime next year or in the future. But pretty cool just how truly wild and abundant this is. And then we've still got just black currants that are dotted all the way along. In that first year when we were, young and inspired, thinking that we could sort of turn this into a food forest. So planted these perennials and just been using the dags as a way to surround them, and also, just give it some protection from grass coming through, and just feed the soil with some rich nitrogen. And here's a heritage apple, a gift from the Gaitans down at the South Coast Environment Centre. Looking forward to eating some fruit from this guy. And yeah, here in the pig pen we can just see another example of the Polyculture paddock and what's been happening just to let it go. So it all got set to seed spring and summer and autumn last year, and then in winter we moved Trumpy and Major in here. Trumpy! Taking a leak. And they decked it out completely, had it bare bones, and we haven't done anything to it, but we can see how much food's just come back. And this is with Trumpy in here, and she eats a lot. So even with her voracious feeding habits, we're able to get all these like lush greens coming up. So if I didn't have the one at the house, I'd be coming here all the time and eating from here. And that's just, again, with no work at all. It was just by letting all these greens set their seed last year, and then having the pig come and eat it in winter, and then having it all come away. So that's pretty cool, I thought, as well. All right, now I think that's a wrap. Chumpy's decided it's time for a bath. I think I'm gonna do the same and go jump in the river. See you next time with an update how it's looking mid to late summer. Ciao. All right, that's a wrap. Chumpy's decided it's a good time for a wallow. I think I'm gonna go jump in the river before it shits itself.
Cut.